What's going on, guys? Welcome to a series of episode reviews. This is going to be for Star Wars Visions Volume 3. With me, as always, I have Loosebid.
Yeah. I mean, technically it's been out for about like a month and a half
Mm.
already. Um, so it's well, we never did season 2. Because like it's not because the studios that worked on season 2 are not the same studios that worked on season 1. They were mostly just what was it? Various studios from different countries, like one from South Africa, I think another uh one from Korea, which is Studio Mirror that worked on the Avatar series. I think there was another one another one from England here and there. Um, I mean, some of them were good, but they didn't. I don't know. They didn't feel as good as the same level as they were back in season 1. Like the various studios like Studio Trigger, Saru, or Production IG put out back in season 1.
Mm.
This time, season 3 has brought back most of the same studios, including some new Japanese studios that worked on their own episodes.
Yeah.
For season 3, like I think only 3 of them are sequels to uh, from the episodes from season 1, while one of them, of course, is a precursor to an upcoming anime series that's coming out in 2026.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that also technically also being, I guess you would say, a continuation, but also, like, yeah, a precursor to the anime series. Yeah, but I guess we could just get into it. Like, the first one is a continuation of The
The
Duel, which was animated by I think the studio that did Afro Samurai.
It was
Kind of,
Kamikaze
yeah.
Kyogo.
Um, yeah, the best thing about The Duel, really, I mean, it had an intriguing story or setting, or what they did with the Star Wars setting, but it also had just a really visually appealing art style, with the sort of them try to emulate like Akira Kurosawa. And they sort of do the same thing again here, where it's the I don't know if he really has a proper name, but the main character from the Duel, uh, basically, like, I guess him infiltrating like a some kind of like
Well,
gambling operation.
he goes into, yeah. It was more like it's like a traveling modified AT-AT
Yeah.
walkers merged into one, in which it's basically a gambling hall. So the unnamed character, who's called the Ronin, comes up against like I think it was against the Sith renegade, um, that's taking refuge in the gambling hall. So the Ronin ends up confronting her, of course, to, I guess, to eliminate her and gain her red kyber crystal. So this leads into like an extended duel, which ends up destroying the gambling hall by, you know, I guess by like one of the drivers accidentally turning on one of the AT-AT walkers, which ends up having it tumbling down, down a snowy mountain, while the Ronin and the Sith warrior end up fighting each other. Of course, the duel gets interrupted uh, by a cyborg Jedi, who which like he has an interesting design for, like, for a Jedi cyborg in a way, because he's just like, think of it, he's almost like General Grievous of sorts.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about this episode is we actually get a little bit more world building with this particular setting. And basically, like, I guess we learned that this Jedi has somewhat of a personal grudge with the stranger, or yeah, with the stranger, and that he, I think they fought in the past, and he got like injured, and he's basically like wanting to get revenge on the stranger for what he did. But he's also, I guess, I don't know. It seems like I think, doesn't he also have like I guess a blue lightsaber or something? So I guess you could assume he's technically like, one of the quote unquote good guys, or he's maybe with the Discworld version of the Jedi Order. and he's basically like trying to go after him, or get some kind of revenge, on the yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he ends up defeating both the Sith renegade and the Ronin, in which they both end up getting injured, but then they end up surviving the duel and take refuge at like a hot springs, which are I think they're being taken care of uh by the same owner of like the gambling hall, and it's being guarded by like a bunch of Ewoks too.
I was actually surprised that they have the Ewoks show up in this, considering the reputation of the Ewoks.
Yeah, considering that they're taking the sides of the renegade Sith over the Jedi Knights.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because they end up sort of playing the same role that they did in Return of the Jedi, with them just sort of trying to pelt the enemy with stones and sticks, and just trying to like lay traps for them.
Yeah, and of course this leads into another confrontation um, between the two renegade Sith uh, and the cyborg Jedi, which it's like the overall fight scene is like very well done, like
Mm-hmm.
despite it being like all CG, in its design, but it's actually done better, due to its overall atmosphere, the coloring. I mean, the only color you could really see is just the color of the lightsabers in this fight.
Yeah,
So it gets to the point where like they inevitably get the upper hand against the cyborg Jedi, in which I think the female Sith warrior ends up she has like various cybernetics on her body. She has like like a lightsaber peg leg, and like her arm is also like has multiple lightsabers all at the same time.
yeah, yeah. I kind of liked her design where she just has like multiple different lightsabers. Like you mentioned, she kind of is in a way like similar with like General Grievous, where she just can pull out multiple lightsabers.
Yeah. So eventually, like she manages to get a get a blow by stabbing the cyborg Jedi through the head, which somehow he doesn't die from that, but it blinds him to the point where he doesn't recognize which lightsaber he needs to pick up. So he eventually picks up the red one, in which he tries to proclaim himself as a Jedi, but the Ronin ends up defeating him by saying that you are no longer a Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course after this, like the whole time the stranger and the Sith Jedi kind of had like a begrudging like alliance with each other. Like I guess they promised to sort of postpone their duel. And then they try to fight each other right at the end, but essentially just end up going their own way. But I thought it was a pretty good episode. It was a pretty good follow up to the first episode, and I like how they tried to do a little bit of, I guess, world building with the way things work in this version of the Star Wars universe. It's pretty interesting. I thought it was good. It was pretty good overall, though. I didn't really have any complaints with it.
Yeah, it was a good follow up to the first episode, in which they involve like the Jedi in this episode, but it's a real good twist in which they portray like the Jedi as the
Yeah,
villains instead of the
yeah, I did
Sith.
particularly like that as well. That this Jedi is sort of seen as almost like a bad guy, and that the Sith are, sort of trying to fight against like a Jedi, and who's, I guess, supposed to be part of this world version of the Jedi Order, but he's just completely obsessed with, I guess, his own form of justice and revenge. That it's just kind of he's essentially just in a way he's almost like a Sith himself, but he's even though he's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was like kind of an interesting twist. Um,
Yeah. Um, yeah. So the next episode, I think it's called "The Song of the Four Wings" by Project Studio Q. This is more of like its own thing. Like we're gonna get a lot of these episodes that are gonna be its own
yeah,
thing, but it's another like all CG type of anime style in which um, this character I think her name is Korane, and then like she's like a princess that joins the Rebel Alliance, um, and she goes to investigate this village in an unknown planet, which was apparently attacked by the Empire. So the only survivor that she runs into is like this little, I don't know what kind of alien creature this is. It's like almost like some sort of baby snow. I just can't tell what it is. They just
Yeah.
don't really say much of anything like that. Um, and so like after she rescues this creature, like she encounters like several stormtroopers investigating the village, looking for survivors. So Karane and the little creature end up escaping, the Imperials, while um, I think like the reason the Empire was there was to was to mine a mineral called coaxium, um, which is like what was it, space fuel of sorts. So she ends up like disrupting their operations, but she ends up escaping them initially, before she ends up running into several like AT-ATs. Uh, what also gets crazy is like I think she has like an X-wing mech suit, uh, which is built onto her. So she uses it to end up fighting the AT-ATs, and then ends up defeating them afterwards. Um, and then like and then like she also discovers that this little creature is also force sensitive too. So he also ends up helping out in that fight in the end. So
Yeah.
inevitably they end up
Uh,
defeating the Imperials and the planet, and then they end up going going back to the Rebel Alliance soon afterwards.
Yeah, this one, yeah, I thought it was okay. Yeah, like the CG was a little bit off-putting at first, but I kind of got used to it. They have like some flashback sequences, I guess, sort of like telling of her backstory, which I think those are actually done in 2D. Those actually looked okay. And yeah, I can't say I expected like the mech suit thing with her X-wing turning into a mech suit. That was kind of crazy. But I kind of like that they just didn't really. They just decided to go all out with certain elements like that. But yeah, I don't know. It was just okay. I didn't think it was like great. It was all right. But just fairly just not that memorable for the most part, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the next episode is, of course, another sequel for another episode we from season one, is of course the Ninth Jedi.
Mm.
Now, even before this, like the creator of the original episode was hoping that he would like to make like an actual series of this show, which inevitably they did green light the project into making like the Ninth Jedi anime series, which is coming out on Disney Plus sometime next year. So this episode is actually not only is a follow up to that first episode from season one, but of course it's a precursor to what's going to happen in the upcoming anime series.
Yeah. Yeah. So with this one, I forget the main character's name, like Kara. Yeah.
Kara.
So I think her ship ends up getting like attacked by I guess the Imperials, and she ends up like being, I guess, separated from the rest of the cast of characters, and basically ends up like on this I don't know, like some kind of a space station.
Yeah, more of a derelict space station
Yeah.
that that she ends up stumbling on after being sucked into space during the battle. I think it was a group of bounty hunters that were pursuing the
Mhm.
Jedi. So the Jedi group end up escaping, but they don't realize that Kara, uh, you know, like got sucked into space and then gets trapped into this derelict ship. What she finds out is like she's rescued by this service droid named Teto, who's the caretaker of the ship. I think
He looks suspiciously
of
similar to BD-1 from the Jedi Survivor.
yeah. Yeah, like much of them is inspiration for a lot of the other Disney
Yeah.
projects, which is an interesting way for them to like. I mean, he's not exactly like BD1, but his overall like his head shape design is almost similar to BD1 in a
Mhm.
way. So Teto, like immediately like recognizes Kara as being a Jedi because she's holding a lightsaber. So he requests Kara to help his master, who's like in some kind of like hibernative like state. But unfortunately, like Kara finds out that the master ended up perishing due to like I guess it's like the power went out through his life support system, so he ended up dying like many years earlier. So like like out of mainly out of gratitude to Kara, like Teto offers his services to her. But of course, they find out that the bounty hunters that's been pursuing her and her Jedi companions end up boarding the ship. So Kara and Teto end up fighting the bounty hunters uh, in the ship. What I also noticed is like I think they changed the art design, the character design for some of these characters, especially with Kara back, even back in season one, because I noticed like her facial design is a little bit more rounded than it was back in season one.
I actually didn't. Yeah, I actually didn't pick up on that. Um,
Yeah, and then there was also like, unlike back in season one, like that fight scene between her and the bounty hunters was CG
yeah,
too,
I did
which
notice that.
took me a
Yeah.
little bit off guard. Yeah, it took me a little bit off guard, which I'm guessing that, like this may be, I don't know. It's a little bit risky for them to do this, and I f- I think this is something that they're gonna try to do in the upcoming anime series if that's how they're gonna move forward with it. But it's, I don't know. It initially looked a little bit jarring at
Yeah.
first
Honestly, like
when I
I
saw them
hope
do
they
that.
don't do that. At least not too much, because yeah, it did look kind of. You can definitely tell when they use it, and it doesn't look that good.
Yeah. So eventually, Kara, realizes that she's being outmatched by the bounty hunters. So her and Teto decide to go to an escape pod, and to get away from the bounty hunters. Unfortunately, the escape pod doesn't have enough power to jettison. So Teto ends up sacrificing himself by using what's left of his energy to jettison the escape pod with Kara inside, and then like but no, but I think like after thanking her, he initiates the self destruct sequence, pretty much not only killing himself but all the bounty hunters that are on the ship.
Yeah, yeah. So of course, Jara ends up like rejoining the rest of the crew, and uh, yeah, I mean that. Well, and yeah, I mean I think that's more or less it. Like she, I mean, it's
There was the ongoing plot line back in the first episode in which Kara's father was also
oh
kidnapped
yeah,
by these Jedi bounty hunters. So that's like another major plot point that's likely going to be followed up in the upcoming anime series.
hmm
So and plus the episode ends by saying "to be continued," which is obviously like that's where it's going to lead into the upcoming anime series.
yeah.
I don't know I don't know exactly when they're going to be airing this show and how it's going to be distributed. If it's going to be released like on a binge watch style, or if it's going to be like released on a weekly basis. I just don't know like how Disney is going to handle all
I
that.
would assume probably a weekly basis, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For this episode in particular, like, it is a follow up episode to the episode from Volume One, but it's also, as opposed to all the other episodes in Volume Three. Yeah, it's just pretty much just a setup episode for this series, and I honestly I thought the episode, the Ninth Jedi from Volume One, was, in my opinion, just a lot better and a lot more interesting than this one was. Like, not that this one was bad, but it didn't really hook me as much as the first episode. Um, but yeah, like it pretty much just is a setup episode for the series. Um, And I mean, I don't know. I feel like it could have done a lot better with like the plot, I guess, for this episode in particular, because most of it is just Kara like sort of, I guess, bonding with this droid and hearing about like, the droid's backstory. Like we do get some follow ups on some of the things that were introduced in Night Jedi, but yeah, there's not really much interesting happening aside from that.
I I feel like I don't know. I feel like they made a mistake killing Teto off this soon because I
Yeah,
really felt like he could have been a nice addition, to the upcoming
yeah,
animated
I'm kind of
series. But I
surprised that's
felt
the
like
direction they went. It seemed like that maybe what he was intended to be. But yeah, like I said, it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just all right.
yeah. So the next episode is called The Bounty Hunters from Wit Studio. Um, we follow this like a bounty hunter character named Seven, who was um, I think she was originally part of like a bounty hunter group that that she ends up leaving after an encounter with the Jedi Knight who spared her. So she unfortunately has a bounty on her head because of that. So like she spends most of the time like trying to get away from her former employer. Uh, but soon like she and her like I think it was like her droid companion is pretty interesting because it has like two different personalities. One like it's a medical droid, and then it has like almost like a bloodthirsty, like almost like a bloodthirsty personality of sorts with the second with the second person.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I actually really liked our droid companion just because he was just completely bipolar through the whole episode, where he would just switch from being just like, I guess, mild mannered, and then just immediately go back to just being like just bloodthirsty, like crazy personality.
Yeah. So soon afterwards, like soon after escaping, the bounty hunters pursuing them, they end up getting hired by uh by like some kind of industrialist businessman to supposedly hunt down a group of insurgents. So the two bounty hunters end up tracking down the insurgents who find out that they were actually former slaves to this industrialist businessman, and and of course like the the insurgents end up asking the bounty hunters if they can help free the remaining slaves.
Oh, yeah.
You
We
know,
also see like one of the
yeah,
resistance members, I guess, is the sister of this. I think it's a Twi'lek girl that she saw earlier
yeah,
in the episode.
yeah. It's like apparently that she is a slave to this businessman. So Seven ends up she still ends up taking the insurgents back back to the businessman's headquarters, but of course she uses it as a ruse to end up saving the slaves and confronting the businessman altogether, and he fights this guy like who uses like a droidica mech suit, the droids that always have those annoying
Yeah.
shields with them. So so both Seven and her droid companion end up fighting him, and of course they end up defeating him soon afterwards, and help free the remaining slaves in his possession. So yeah, and soon afterwards, they say their goodbyes and end up resuming their adventures, while at the same time they're still being pursued by by the bounty hunters.
Yeah, I actually really like this episode. Like that. Aside from the follow up to the duel, like this was like the second best episode so far. I actually would like to see this as a series. I really like the main character. I like how she kind of came off almost as somewhat of an anti-hero. Like she was sort of, I guess, just being a bounty hunter. She's mostly just in it for the money. But at the same time, I guess she will help out if she, really feels the need to, I guess. And I also
Yeah,
really liked her droid companion, and I like the sort of banter between the two of them. Yeah, it was really good. I actually like really like this one. Um,
Yeah, I would really love to see another continuation, and like maybe not as a series, but maybe as a follow
yeah,
up episode if they do make a
yeah,
season
because it
four
seemed like something they
eventually.
could easily like, and it almost seemed like they were kind of setting it up for it to be like continued in the future, just with the way that things ended off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of continuations, so like there's still like other episodes back in season one. I would really love for them to continue,
Hmm.
like that. What was it that I think there was that one episode by Studio Trigger called The
Yeah.
Twins, which
Well, there is
yeah,
another
I mean,
Studio
I was
Trigger
looking.
episode in this too.
Yeah, I think what was it called?
I think the
Which one
Prince
was
or
it?
something, or the uh
I think it was called The
yeah,
Smuggler. But that's a little bit
yeah.
later. I think the next episode soon afterwards is called Yuko's Treasure by Cinema Citrus. It's I think it was more of a lighthearted episode in a way. Like we see this like a young girl named Yuko being raised by this giant bear-like droid named Billy, like taking refuge on Tatooine. Um, I think the plot line is like this pirate gang is after her because she contains a key that'll find like some kind of treasure. So like this like so Yuko encounters this like young boy named Sola who works with this pirate gang. Um, but of course, inevitably they end up bonding soon afterwards, which leads to the boy end up turning against you know the gang that he was associated with. So this leads into just like a cat and mouse chase between the two groups. Eventually, like they get to Yuko's parents' like secret base, which supposedly this treasure is being hidden, but at the same time they're being attacked by like this rampaging crate dragon that's wandering in the cave which they're trying to escape in. So this eventually like they get to the point where they end up outwitting the pirate gang, in which like they end up supposedly just falling down like a deep cavern with the dragon itself,
Mm.
and eventually like the main characters end up finding like this supposed treasure, which turns out it's a starship, which is meant to be passed down to to Yuko, which is from her parents, so they can end up leaving Tatooine and like start a new life somewhere.
Yeah, okay. I definitely accidentally skipped this one because like when he started describing it, I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely didn't see this.
Yeah,
um, yeah,
I mean it was a good fun silly episode in a
yeah,
way. Like it's like I'd say it's more of an own thing. I don't think that it really needs any continuation
yeah.
afterwards. But yeah, I think the next one it's another episode by Cinema Citrus, which is of course the Lost one, which is which is the sequel to the season one episode called The Village Bride. You so okay. So I think the what was it? The main character's name is like F. And, like I don't know if she really has a full name. I mean, she's basically just referred to as F in this
Yeah.
episode. Um, so she comes across two miners or two refugees like coming from a planet which is being ravaged by carbonite gas, and she ends up rescuing these people, which they end up taking her back to like their refugee ship, in which like she ends up. Well, I think she's familiar with some of the people in that refugee ship, including like what was it? One of the people that ends up fixing one of her cybernetic legs, which I didn't even know like she had cybernetic legs in the first place back in season
Yeah, I
one.
actually don't remember that. Um, yeah, but eventually, like, I guess like a star destroyer, they end up like the ship ends up running into like an Imperial star destroyer, and I think what were they after her or were they after something else? I forget. Like because they
So they were actually after
yeah,
her because one
because
of
she
the
ends up giving
refugees
herself up and
discovered that.
just like having them like capture her. Um, but they go into like they infiltrate the star destroyer, try to save her. Um,
Yeah, I think it was the main character Ron ends
yeah,
up like printing pretending to hand her over to the Empire, in which she eventually gets taken to meet her former Jedi Master named Zero,
Okay, I
who was
can't be the
killed.
only
Yeah.
person who thought this guy looks. He looks like Griffith. Like I'm just gonna say, like he looks like Griffith.
Yeah, it's like like similar to like to Griffith in a way, like he looks good, but he has like he's deep down evil
Yeah,
in a way too. But yeah, so Zero, like who's of course F's former Jedi Master, he was killed, supposedly killed during the events of Order 66, but somehow resurrected and ends up joining the Empire soon afterwards. So he attempts to recruit F to the dark side, but of course, she refuses just due to the fact of her close relationship with her former master. So they end up dueling each other soon afterwards. While at the same time, Ron uses like these carbonite bombs to cripple the Star Destroyer like from the reactor bay.
yeah. In some ways, it
And
kind of reminded
with
me a
it,
little bit of A New Hope, with like Ron essentially being almost like Han Solo, or trying to. Well, I guess in a way. Well, in this instance, I guess like he would be more like Obi-Wan trying to sabotage the Star Destroyer, whereas Obi-Wan was like trying to
yeah.
sabotage the Death Star.
Mhm. Yeah, so eventually, like the duel ends, in which, um, F, she gets her arm and both of her legs, um, you know, like cut off by her master, but not before like placing a carbonite bomb or whatever it was on her master, which he ends up freezing to death soon afterwards.
Mm.
Um, so like Ron ends up saving her, and then they end up escaping the Star Destroyer soon afterwards.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, this one was pretty good. It was pretty decent follow up to The Village Bride. Uh, I don't know. I thought it was like, yeah, the animation was decent. It was a decent continuation. I kind of hope they do more of these. I thought the characters were pretty
Yeah,
interesting. Um,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if like I don't know. Like, there's this very small chance there might be a continuation to this because I don't know what else they can really do
yeah.
for F in particular because she already faced off against her master and defeated him soon afterwards. I don't know like what other type of storyline they can follow up on her unless like she goes up against Darth Vader
I
or
kind of don't.
something like that.
Well,
But I
yeah.
don't.
Well, I guess canon doesn't really matter in this instance, but yeah. I mean, I guess they could do something like that. If not Darth Vader,
Yeah,
maybe like that universe's equivalent of him or whatever. But
yeah. It's hard for me to see like any sort of continuation based on like how much is left with F's story because I don't know what else they can really explore with F in
mm,
particular. I mean, I would love for them to make a continuation on that, but it seems like the chances seem a little bit more slimmer now than they were back in season one.
yeah, yeah. But another decent follow up though.
Yeah. So the next episode, which is by Studio Trigger, called The Smuggler, this I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah,
So the plot is like we see like a smuggler. I'm trying to remember her name. Um, I think her name is I can't remember her name.
yeah. I
I
can't
think
really either, but
she's
I
like
actually did really like her character though. Like I mean,
yeah
she's not exactly. I mean, it's funny because she's also kind of like a bounty hunter, like the character from the Wit Studio episode. But
yeah
she's more like, well, I guess I don't know. She's also sort of like most bounty hunters, sort of just end it for the money and not really like necessarily good or bad or anything like that. Um,
yeah. So the smuggler ends up encountering like a prince who's being pursued by the Empire, and and then of course like they're accompanied by by this female companion who sorry who reveals herself to be like a Jedi Knight, a former Jedi Knight in the service of the prince.
yeah, well, we
Of
find
course
that
she
out because there's one scene where she has to, I guess, defend both of them, and she ends up, I think, like they're using the Force or using a lightsaber, like pulling out a lightsaber or something. Uh,
yeah she like she has a lightsaber hidden inside her prosthetic
Yeah.
arm, which is a pretty interesting way to hide a lightsaber, if I have to say. I think they kind of did the same thing with, if you remember, I think it was Kara no Kyokai did that,
Oh yeah,
in which
yeah.
the character, like, she also had, like, a prosthetic arm, but, like, she hid a dagger in her arm
Hmm.
too. So it's interesting that they did something similar to this.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but basically, like, yeah, the main plot is them trying to escort the prince off of this planet, kind of like similar, like to Tatooine almost. Um, and they're, I mean, the whole time they're basically like being pursued by the Imperial forces, like stormtroopers.
Yeah, it's basically just like an extended chase scene between them and the Imperials,
Hmm.
going after them, in which they eventually, like, they end up escaping them, and then they eventually go to Yavin 4 to join the rebellion. And then, of course, you know the smuggler, the prince, and the Jedi, and end up joining together to go on off an adventure to find um, to find more people to join the rebellion afterwards.
Hmm.
So yeah, I thought this is a decent episode. Um, it, it's like, I don't know if they might make a continuation. Maybe I would like to. I think the plot seems pretty interesting, including its cast of characters that they introduced.
Yeah, I actually really liked it. Yeah, like you, I'd also like to see them continue it somehow. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite as crazy as the other Studio Trigger episode from Volume One, but it was still pretty good for what it was.
Yeah. So the next episode is an all CG anime episode called "The Bird of Paradise" by Polygon
Yeah, this
Pictures.
one was weird.
Um, yeah. So okay. So we see this the Jedi Padawan. I think her name is Nakime. Go up against like a Sith acolyte alongside her master, but the fight ends up blinding her, and she falls into the like this, like, somewhere in the forest or down the mountain soon afterwards.
Yeah, like
And
basically, like, I mean, we eventually figure out what's going on, but like the whole thing is basically like her, like I guess you'd say like a spiritual, like mental journey of her like overcoming her struggles.
yeah, and of course, her trying to overcome her blindness.
Mhm.
Like, initially, like, she starts panicking and despairing, uh, because she's blind and unable to see what's going on around her. Um, and I think, like, the episode kind of gets into this 5-day journey of, like,
Y-
trying
Yeah, because it's
to,
all like
you
separated
know,
by chapters or like days.
yeah, yeah, like, she's trying to like, grapple with, like, like, various physical and mental trials, like, throughout her, her isolation in this episode, in which, like, she's struggling with hunger, loneliness, despair, fear, anger. She's also, she gets tormented uh by the Sith warrior that ended up blinding her. uh Eventually, like, it gets to the point where she's also tormented by, like a dark side version of herself, uh trying to, like, I guess, in a way, manipulate her into joining the dark side, in a way.
Yeah, which is essentially, I
uh
guess, like her just giving in and I guess giving into that part of herself, and I guess she like
yeah,
has to in a way overcome that, and it ends up just
yeah,
with her
If
fighting the dark side version of herself.
yeah, pretty much, she realizes that this dark side version of herself is more like an embodiment of her immaturity, impulsiveness, or fear of death. Eventually, like, she ends up uh accepting her inevitable, like, demise, to the point where, like, she embraces her dark side version of herself. uh and then eventually, like, having made peace with herself, she eventually, like, awakens, and I don't know if, like, she regains her sight or something like that, but it seems like that's what they're implying by the end of the episode. But
Yeah.
it's, like, eventually, like, she ends up, like, getting out of the forest by herself, but it doesn't explain, like, what happens to her afterwards, whether she like rejoined her master or whatnot.
Yeah, this one seemed more like it was much heavier, more heavily inspired by like the it's sort of like I guess the whole like spiritual Eastern philosophy element that inspired Star Wars. It kind of had that whole aesthetic going for it. But yeah, it was, I don't know, like I have kind of like, I guess somewhat mixed feelings about it. Like it was okay. I didn't really expect it to go the direction it did with her like sort of having this like whole like spiritual journey, I guess. But I mean, it wasn't bad. Animation style, of course, it was all CG because it's Polygon Pictures. But it didn't look bad. But yeah, I guess it was just okay. It was very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this is definitely more like a one-off. I don't know if I could really see them like going back to this. It seemed like it's sort of like a one and done type of thing.
Yeah. The last and final episode.
Okay, yeah, I know I said that this one, like the last one was weird, but this one is, so there's, I mean, so okay, this one is definitely the weirdest. I mean, this is the David production one, right? Like the,
yeah, it's the episode's titled Black.
So basically, like, okay, so the whole thing, I guess, is supposed to be from the perspective of a stormtrooper just going through the different battles, and it's just done in this just absolutely like insane like visual style. Like I think everything was hand drawn, so it's just like this really crazy like trippy visual style they did.
Yeah, I think what it is like an Imperial stormtrooper experience, like almost like pretty much embracing his inevitable death.
Yeah.
Like with him being on the Death Star during the Battle of Endor. So like it's weird of what's happening too, because he's also fighting against another stormtrooper, which is like it's similar to him because he's missing an arm,
Mm-hmm.
but this other stormtrooper he's getting into a fight with is also missing an arm too.
Honestly, like some things I was able to follow, but I gave up trying to make sense of some of what was happening in the episode because everything just goes by so quick, and because of the visual style, it's kind of hard to make out exactly what's going on at certain points.
Yeah, this is also the shortest episode in the series too, like going up to maybe less than 10 minutes at most. So it's like, and plus, like, there's no dialogue. It's just basically just like all this animation.
I think it's also just accompanied by like some like jazz music or something. I think.
Yeah, a lot of jazz.
It's like kind of like Gundam Thunderbolt
music.
with the crazy like visuals and the jazz.
Yeah, like you basically just see like everything. You see like X-wing TIE fighters fighting in space. You see the Death Star blowing up. You see stormtroopers like fighting the rebellion in the Death Star, even though like technically it didn't really happen unless you're playing Battlefront 2 again. It's just but you're still like looking through like almost like this psychedelic experience of the stormtrooper just like eventually like about to meet his demise in the Death Star, like seeing flash of his old life. Like I guess like he's like in the lakeside with his loved one. I think and plus like he's and also like he's riding like a steed, like a horse thing, like somewhere like out of nowhere. And eventually like we see the last shot of him, we just see a close up of his face as soon as the episode is done, and you wonder like whether or not he's dead or something like that. I mean, I would say he's dead.
Yeah.
But it was like one of the weirdest over the top episodes of Star Wars that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, visually, I would say like, I think like I would still say my favorite visually of Visions is probably the Duel, but this one is like a close second to me because of just how insane like the animation style is and the fact that it seemed like everything was hand drawn. But it's also just at the same time, it's just because it's so crazy, like psychedelic. It's kind of hard to follow at times, and I feel like that might be the point. because it's just sort of, I guess, showing the chaotic life of a stormtrooper. You know, you just get involved in all these different battles and just like one thing after another. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I mean, it was, I don't know, it might be like one of my favorite of Volume 3 just because of how insane it was in terms of the visuals. And you know, you kind of got the gist of what story it was trying to tell, even though some things were kind of difficult to follow. You know, it's basically the life of a stormtrooper, just told through these like insane like visual, like this insane visual style.
Yeah. I mean, as we know, like, you know, stormtroopers have been the most expendable characters throughout the entirety of the series. And
yeah,
now,
and I thought it was an interesting
like,
idea to just have something just shown through their perspective, and just how like they're just expendable, and you know that their life just goes by like that.
yeah. I mean, I honestly, I would love to see like some kind of like, you know, series in which we get to see like, you know, the stormtroopers like as the main character. Rather, I'm not counting Finn
Yeah.
or any of the characters that got, I mean, eventually got redeemed, like, and joined the Rebel Alliance soon afterwards. But I just want to see like, you know, like an actual like series that just focuses on them for once. I mean, this comes close in a way in which, like, you know, you're trying to get some kind of like I don't know, mental view of like of their perspective, like what they're going through, like in the battle against the rebellion, and eventually, like, you know, them inevitably meeting their own demise at the Battle of Endor.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I thought this was, in my opinion, like it might even be the best episode of Visions Volume 3, even though Visions Volume 3 did have some pretty good episodes. But this one just for the sake of the visuals alone, like I can't say I expected any of this.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think still my favorite episode in this season is, of course, the sequel to the Duel. And there are some, I think. I mean, like, you know, season 3 is an improvement over season 2. I mean, but I still don't think it's like as good as season 1 put out.
Yeah.
Season 1 still had some decent episodes, which including some that I really wish they could have followed up on, like the, you know, the production, what was it, the Studio Trigger's Twins episode, or I think, what was it, that other episode called like Genos Lapan Ocho from Geno Studios, because they left that off in a cliffhanger too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too. Yeah, I mean that one was one of the best ones from Volume 1. So hopefully, yeah, if they ever do like a 4th season, like they'll follow up on that one. But overall, like, Visions Volume 3 was, I would agree. Like, it's not better than Volume 1, but it's pretty close. I didn't watch Volume 2 just because, like, a lot of the reason for that is just because, like, the studios that worked on Volume 1 didn't come back for Volume 2. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, like, we just get more of this for the follow-up for Volume 4. Like, I'm not opposed to, like, other, like, you know, animation studios that aren't Japanese coming in and doing stuff, but I heard Volume 2 was just mostly like kind of a step down from Volume 1, so I didn't really watch a lot of it. But yeah,
I mean, most of them were okay of sorts, but they weren't my cup of tea. To be honest, like, and there may be like a couple of episodes, like I think what one was done by Studio Mir was, I think, one of the best episodes of that season, but like the other episodes just didn't really interest me as much. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this episode. I can't remember what rating we gave the first season, but it would have to be a little bit close, but not as good as, you know, season 1.
I mean, yeah, I guess if I were to rate this one, I'd probably say it's like an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, season 1, I don't know if I'd say it was a 9. I mean, they're both pretty good. Like, I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I still enjoyed like a lot of the episodes, including like some of the sequel episodes, like the Duel, and I think maybe the Lost Ones was good. Ninth Jedi was all right, but yeah, like it's more of a setup episode for the upcoming anime series, which is coming out next year. Which I'm still curious of, like, you know, how they're gonna follow up on that show.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think like Star Wars Visions is so far one of like Disney's more popular Star Wars products, just due to the fact that like a lot of this is being its own thing with the various anime studios
Yeah.
making their own spin of each Star
Well,
Wars story, including like the duel like being almost like a combination of like the galaxy and the feudal Japan as
yeah, I mean,
well.
it helps that they're not really restricted by the canon or anything. They can just pretty much do whatever they want. Um, and I mean, it
Yeah,
really kind of
I
helps,
mean
like, I
there's
guess, the
yeah.
creativity of the studios that they could just go crazy with, just taking concepts from Star Wars or settings and just doing their own thing with it.
Yeah, and I mean for the Ninth Jedi, it's also its own thing, just being almost like a distant futuristic sequel of the Star Wars series in general. But they don't really specify whether or not it's canon. But of course, it's not.
Yeah.
We already know it's not. But some fans of the show like are speculating that there's a possibility that it could be inserted to the larger canon, just due to like I think maybe a couple of them could be like maybe I think some in particular, like the bounty hunters or maybe the lost ones, could be canonized. But it's that's up to Disney if they really want to do that.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah.
overall, I thought it was a good season. Still, I mean, comes close to season one, but not as great.
Mhm.
But yeah, I am hoping that they will make another season of this sometime in the future. I mean, hopefully not like they don't follow the same suit as like they did with season two with all the other like animation studios that they picked up on, which is outside of Japan. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of other episodes in this season, including the last season that I would really love for them to follow up on.
Mhm.
If not, if they would really like to make like an own independent series like the Ninth Jedi is next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how that series does. But yeah, yeah, guys. That all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.